guys. Hello, you guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. It literally has been a hot minute since I've made a video. I've just been going through so much, but I'm back in one piece. So it is Valentine's month. It is Valentine's month. Like, I always cringe whenever I have to make a video where I'm talking about dating or I'm talking about men or anything of that nature, because, like, I don't want anyone to ever think that the reason I transitioned was so I could find a relationship, or the reason that anyone transitions is so they can, like, find a partner. Because for me, I transitioned so that I could live an authentic life. And to be honest, I think when I began my transition, I remember I was praying to God, and I said to myself, or I was saying to God, like, if transitioning means that I'm never going to get married, if it means that I'm never going to get into a relationship, if it means that I will not be loved, then so be it. Because how can I accept love from another person when I don't have love for myself? How would I even enjoy the relationship if I'm not present in the relationship? Before I can even say yes to somebody else, I need to first say yes to myself. And I'll tell you what yes looks like for me. Yes looks like me living in my truth. Yes looks like me not dealing with dysphoria. Yes means me being authentic. So I was like, I will rather forego being in any type of relationship if it means that I can be true to myself. And that's just some point blank period. Because I think we often look at these men who haven't even washed their penises half of the time, who have beer bellies, who are out here cheating. But I think we sometimes look at these men as though they are going to save us. We look at them as though they're the saviors, whereas in reality, salvation rests in your own hands. You see these two hands? These two hands on your body are the hands that are going to save you. Look, I do understand, though, that everybody wants to feel loved. And being in a relationship and being in a healthy relationship is something that we all deserve. And it's something that we all want. But I'm just saying, like, if it meant that transitioning would block me from being in a relationship, I was happy and I was willing to, I was happy for that. I was absolutely happy for that. So, my relationship with men. I think I'm going to start by telling you guys about my relationship with the first man in my life, which was my father. So my dad, he's passed away. My dad was the sweetest, the kindest, the smartest. He was just like the best dad you could have ever asked for. I really lucked out when it came to dads. He was such a sweet and amazing person. And yes, he died when I was very young. But he was such a wonderful person that even now as an adult, I use him as a benchmark. I use him as a benchmark, and I compare him with all other men. And to be honest, like, if I had to be 100% with you guys, I think the reason I haven't given up on black men, the reason why I still, deep down in my heart, would like to be with a black guy is probably because of my dad. I think he showed me what a black man could be like. You know what I mean? And I think that'll always stay in my head. Now, he was the first example that I had. The second example would have been all of those little boys and teenage boys that bullied me and tormented me in high school. So in high school and in primary school, most of the kids that tormented me were black, were black kids. They were the ones who were the meanest. They were the ones who were the most aggressive. They were the ones who would throw rocks at me, spit on me, and do the absolute most. Now, what this does is that it creates a fear in you, or rather, it created a fear in me where I believed that black guys did not like me, and I believed that I was not safe in the space of black men. So it created this anxiety, and I still have this anxiety now as an adult. It created this anxiety where if I'm in a space with just black guys, I get super nervous I'm going to get clocked, and I get super nervous that the situation will become violent. Now, after high school, I transitioned, and in the early stages of my transition, I looked clocky. And the people who bullied me the most, once again, it was black guys. And this just made those fears even stronger. It made those fears even stronger. That now, as an adult woman, as an adult trans woman, whenever I talk to a black guy or whenever I'm flirting with a black guy, there's almost a wall that I have in front of me. And it's not to say that I would never give a black guy a chance. Girl, I've been giving black guys chances. So it's not to say that I wouldn't give a black guy a chance, but it is to say that I am more closed off when it comes to black men, and I am a little bit more self-protective. And to be honest, if I were to give any black trans woman advice, is number one, date the person that you want to date. Do what is true in your heart. But if you are going to date black men, just be careful. Just be careful. And the reason I say that is because in our communities, in our black African or black African American or black whatever communities, our communities tend to be more conservative, tend to be more religious, and our communities tend to embrace this over exaggeration of masculinity, which later feeds into toxic masculinity. I've noticed in black communities, there seems to be this heightened sense of toxic masculinity, where black men are just raised and they're taught that they have to be hard and they need to be tough, and they can't show any sense of vulnerability or sensitivity. And the minute you accuse a black man of being soft, he becomes aggressive. Or the minute you accuse a black man of homosexuality, he becomes aggressive or angry. I've noticed that. And it's not to say that every black man does this, because if I said every black man does this, it would be unfair and it wouldn't be right. You know what I mean? But it does exist in our communities. And the reason I bring this up is because, let's just be real, the trans women who get killed the most are trans women that look like me. Trans women that look like me, babe. Not white trans women. White trans women do get killed, but if you look at the deaths, there seems to be a higher number of trans women of color dying. And we are being killed by our own men. We're being killed by our own communities. Now, I don't want this to be a conversation between me and you guys where it's like, oh, black people have it worse, white people have it this, that, and the other. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to explain is that when you're a trans woman of color, you have to deal with being trans. And on top of dealing with being trans, you have to deal with being black or Hispanic or being a person of color. You have to deal, on top of being trans, you also have to deal with being ethnic. And there's so many times in my life where I've passed as a female, but I encountered racism. Or I didn't encounter racism, but I was clocked. Or I passed as a female and I wasn't clocked, but I walked into a space and I was discriminated because I was a darker skinned black person. So when you're a black person, when you're a trans, I almost said a black person of color. When you're a trans woman of color, there is a plethora of things that you have to deal with. Not to say that white trans women don't deal with their fair share. So when you're a trans woman of color and you're dating within black spaces, I just want you to be careful. I just want you to be careful. And to be honest, I think even with our white sisters, I think we all have to be careful. I really, really think we all have to be careful. We all need to, when we're interacting with these men, we need to watch out for red flags. And my red flags, whenever I'm interacting, primarily with black men, but with white men, I do it as well. I just do it with everyone across the board. Number one, if a man over-sexualizes you, just from the first conversation, it's all about your booty, your boobs, having sex in this position or that. If he over-sexualizes you, there's a problem. Something's wrong. Something is seriously wrong. Number two, if he does not want to be seen with you in public, that is a major, 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 major red flag. Now, I've spoken to so many girls who say things like, oh, he doesn't want to be seen with me in public because I don't pass. Baby girl, let me tell you, I know so many trans girls that do not pass, but have boyfriends who take them out and are seen with them in public. When I didn't pass, guys still took me out. It never prevented anyone from taking me out. If a man loves you and wants to be with you and is interested in you, and you being trans does not bother him, he will want to be seen with you in public. It doesn't matter if you pass. Number three, if you pick up even just a little bit of aggression in his voice, in his demeanor, run. Run. It's a no for me. It's a no for me. No man is going to start off being aggressive right at the jump. If you even sense a little bit of that, run. It's not worth it, baby girl. It really, really isn't worth it. And number four, if you're not meeting any of his friends, any of his coworkers, if you're not even meeting a cousin, something's wrong. Something is wrong. And these guys who want to see you late at night, something is wrong. Now, if I meet a guy and he shows me all of these red flags, I don't care if he's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Indigenous, it does not matter. It will be an automatic no for me, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, you are showing me all of these signs, right? You're showing me all of these signs. I'm not meeting any of your people. You're a little bit aggressive. You don't want to be seen with me in public. This is the recipe for a guy who could end up killing me. And I'm not about to play these games. And I hate to say it, like, I really, really, really am trying not to bash black men, because I have nothing against black men. I only have love for black men. But if I meet a black guy who shows me those signs, bitch, I'm out. I'm out. Never, never, ever, ever, ever will I play those types of games with my life, because I am not so desperate for a dick that I'm going to risk my own life. It's not going to happen. And half of the time, these guys aren't even that cute to be putting yourself through all of this turmoil. So in as much as we can attack men, and in as much as we can say, oh, black men are this or white men are that, we need to start looking at ourselves. What is it about us as trans women that makes it okay for these men to treat us the way that they do? Why do we Why do we as trans women allow these men to use our bodies, to give us diseases, to kill us in the most inhumane ways, to make fools of us? Why do we allow them to do this? Let me try and answer my own question. I honestly think the reason that we allow this to happen is because we're so desperate to be loved. We just want someone that's going to make us feel good, even if it's just for 10 minutes, even if it's just for 30 minutes. We just want somebody who's going to hold us late at night. We want to feel like we're not alone. And we're hoping that maybe this one guy is going to be the guy that's going to make all the pain go away. But my angel, I just want to let you know that a man is not going to be able to take the pain away from you. He is not the one who gave you this pain, so he certainly is not going to be able to take it. You are going to have to be the catalyst for your own healing. It's not going to come from a man. It's going to be you. It's going to be you. Yes, I do believe we all need to be cautious when it comes to dating. We need to be wary of all men, and we need to start being smart when it comes to dating. And we also need to understand our own value and our self-worth, because the reason we get into these relationships is because we don't really value ourselves. We don't really value ourselves. I'll give you guys an example. So I met a guy at a party, and, we were flirting and whatever. Now, there was this girl who took it upon herself to tell the guys at the party that I'm trans. So, Mamacita, let me just charge my laptop. So, baby girl takes it, there we go. So, baby girl takes it upon herself to tell everyone at the club that I'm, in fact, one of the girls, right? So cool, whatever. So she starts telling these guys that I was talking to that I'm trans. Now, whatever, cool. Like, if you want to tell people, you can tell people, whatever. But I decided that I wanted to tell the guy that I was with. I wanted him to hear it from me. I didn't want him to hear it from this fucking dumbass bitch. So I tell Justin that, oh, listen, I'm trans, by the way, just in case you didn't know. So Justin, the guy that I was with, he was really understanding. He was really sweet about it. So first red flag, Justin started sexualizing me immediately. The minute I told him I was trans, he was like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, are those your real boobs? This, that, and the other. So he started sexualizing me right from the jump. So I was drunk and I was feeling it. I started making out with this boy. One thing leads to another. I end up going home with him, and we do what grown folks do. So I end up having to go back home, and I message him the next day, and I'm all like, hey, I had a really great time last night. Thanks for everything. Justin blue ticks me. So he doesn't respond to it. He just reads it and he ignores my message. But he responds to my friends' messages. So after I see that, I'm like, okay, cool. He's not interested. He got what he wanted. He's not interested. Like, it definitely hurt. It definitely hurt. And I think it hurt because early on, I could see red flags, but I just wanted to ignore them so much, and I wanted him to, this is going to sound stupid, but I wanted him to be like my boyfriend. I wanted him to be like the guy that I met. And me being insecure and me not valuing myself, I allowed myself to believe that if I had sex with this guy, it was somehow going to create some type of relationship, or it was going to somehow make him want me. No, baby girl, he's going to want your body, not you. So cool, whatever. He blue ticks me and he ignores me. We move. We move. So I felt a little bit down 2 days after. So the next day I felt down, and the day after I felt really down. The third day, me and my friend, we decided to go to another party. Guess who I bumped into at the party? None other than Justin. So Justin is white, he's blonde, he's blue-eyed, and he's all of those things. So there's a reason I mentioned that. So Justin, he ignores me. He kind of says hi, but he's working really hard to ignore me. So I'm like, whatever, he's not interested. Now, at this party, there was a black guy there, so he was the only other black person at the party. So our eyes immediately lock. You know, if you're the one black girl and there's a black guy at the party, he's low-key your counterpart. So obviously, you're going to check each other out. So black dude, we're going to call him Tyler. So Tyler comes up to me and he starts talking to me and he's flirting with me. Tyler, unlike Justin, was the perfect gentleman. Just very sweet, bought me drinks, just very attentive. I was like, okay, I'm feeling Tyler. And he asked me what every trans girl, or at least what this trans girl wants to hear. He's like, when can I see you again? Can we have like lunch? Like, you know, when can we meet up again? So I was like, okay, he wants to be seen in public with me. I know this shouldn't be a thing, but it's a thing for me. So I'm like, okay. Tell me why Justin takes it upon himself to come sit next to us. So he sees that I'm vibing with Tyler, and he comes and he sits with us. So then he begins to tell me, oh, Tyler has been his friend since grade 1. They're so close. And I figure out that Justin is going to tell Tyler that I'm A, trans, and B, I hooked up with him. He can tell Tyler that I'm trans. I'm not worried about that. I was worrying about the fact that Justin was going to tell Tyler that we had hooked up. I didn't want Tyler to know that. So I took it upon myself to tell Tyler in front of Justin that I am trans, because I wasn't going to let Justin take Tyler and they walk off and then he tells Tyler, no, I took my power back, bitch. I took my power back. I was like, I'm going to be a bold bitch. I'm going to be a bold bitch, and I'm going to tell Tyler in front of Justin, because I want Justin to know that I'm not ashamed of being trans. So cool. I tell Tyler, and Tyler, his eyes go big, and he's like, wow, like I would have never known, like you're gorgeous. And, you know, he said what you want a boy to say. So I'm like, okay, thank you. And he's like, oh, very important. Tyler's like, this changes nothing though. I still want to go out with you. And I'm like, there's my boy. So Tyler then says this. Now, as much as I tried, I could not stop Justin and Tyler from going off together. I couldn't stop them from walking off together and having a conversation. As much as I tried, I couldn't. So they go off and they have a conversation. And I can literally just see from my peripheral, I can literally see Justin telling Tyler all this shit about me. And I was like, brah, is it even that deep? Like, fine, me and you hooked up. Like, we hooked up and it ended. You know, let me live. But no, Justin takes it upon himself to tell Tyler we hooked up and badmouth me, because after that, Tyler did not want to speak to me. He was just, like, he was friendly, but I could see that he was avoiding me. And I have enough self-respect that if I see a guy is not giving me attention anymore, or he's giving me the cold shoulder, I will not fight to have his attention. I'm just kind of like, cool, whatever. It is what it is. And I felt really upset about that. And I think another reason I felt really upset was because Justin, the white guy, the blonde, blue-eyed white savior, started making out with my friend, like right in front of me. Girl, some of these dudes are really not they really are not shit. But anyways, I definitely felt some type of way. But I realized that part of the reason these things happen to me is because I don't always value myself. And I saw in that specific incident that I need to start valuing myself a lot more. Before I transitioned, I was raised Mormon. I was very, very conservative, and I had morals and I had things that I would not do because I was Mormon. Like, I didn't have sex before marriage, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do any of these things. And I definitely did not entertain guys in the way that I've been entertaining them. But somehow, when I transitioned, it's almost as though all my moral compass broke, and it's almost as though all of those standards that I had for myself, I let them go. And I realized at that moment that I need to get back to myself. It can no longer be just about men. It's not just going to be about men. It's going to start being about me. It's going to start being about me having self-respect. It's going to start being about me loving myself. It's going to start being about me finding the healing that I've been looking for in my own hands. Not in the hands of a man, but in my hands, because I am equipped. I'm equipped. I'm more than equipped to take care of my life. I'm more than capable to save my own life. And I know that you're capable to save your own life. Look, love is going to come. You are going to meet your Prince Charming. But I don't want you to compromise yourself in the same way that I've compromised myself. You know what I mean? And I don't want you to look at white men as though they are these saviors that are going to save us as trans women of color. Yeah, I do honestly believe, and I agree with so many trans women, that for whatever reason, a lot of white men seem to be more okay with trans women, but they're not going to save us. They're not perfect. Just in the same way that black men are not perfect. You know what I mean? But we don't need for them to be perfect. The only thing that we need to work towards perfecting ourselves. That's what we need to work towards, not finding the perfect man. We need to work towards perfecting ourselves and becoming the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. And the best version of you is a version that respects herself, loves herself, does not take shit from anyone, and most importantly, protects herself. Because it's dangerous out here in these streets, girl. Anyways, I've been rambling for way too long. I knew this video was going to be long. I didn't even start with that. Oh, I just want to make a quick video. No, girl, I knew it was going to be long. So I wasn't about to make a fool of myself. Anyways, this video has been all over the place. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you were able to get something positive from this video. I love you so much, you guys. Happy Valentine's Day if I don't see you by the 14th. All right. See you guys. Bye.